Hello everyone. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Rachel. I'm one of the owners and craft educators here at Oak and Lamb. Today we have a super fun and educational video to share with you all today, all about the Cricut blades and tools you can use in your machines. There are 13 in total, so it's a lot of information to have to know, but don't worry, you really don't need most of these in order to use your machine properly. The point of today's video is to share with you what all the tools and blades are, what they're used for, what you can cut with them, and then you guys can decide if you need them or not in your crafting arsenal. We only use very few of these here in the studio, but you guys might find uses for all of them. So today, before you go ahead and spend that money, we want to make sure you guys know all the blades and tools in your machine so you can make a really educated answer on if you want to purchase these or not. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The first blade and the most common blade that you will find in your Cricuts is the regular fine point blade. It has a silver housing, which of course housing is the little unit that holds in your blade or your tool. So here is the housing. And if you press this up, you can pull the actual blade out. Right there it is. It's a little bitty. And it magnetizes right inside. Super, super easy. But this is the most common blade that you will see. This one comes with every machine. So you'll be able to have this already whenever you grab your machine, whether you want to get the Explorer Air 2, Explorer 3, Maker, Maker 3. They all come with this blade and this housing. So this is what you will use for, I would say, 80% of your regular Cricut projects. This cuts paper, vinyl, iron-on, thicker paper, which is called cardstock, washi tape, parchment paper, vellum, very, very light canvas, light chipboard, faux leather, things like that. It cuts this really, really well. Now, there are some limitations to the fine point blade. Most of the materials that I mentioned that seem a little bit thicker are actually created for the fine point blade through Cricut. So for things like faux leather, for instance, that is a Cricut brand material. It's called paper thin faux leather, and it's very thin. It can be cut with the fine point blade. Most leathers cannot be cut with a fine point blade. It is either the knife blade or the rotary blade, but again, for really thin leathers, you can cut it with this. Now, Cricut will let you know, of course, when you select your material setting in Design Space, it will tell you what tool you need, which is really, really handy there. It takes out most of the guesswork. But this is the tool you'll be using 80–90% of the time. This is the one we use most often. Next up, we have our deep point blade. Now, this blade has a mostly black housing, and the actual blade is cut at a different angle than the fine point blade. So that is the only difference between these two, is the degree, the angle of the cut on the actual blade, on the part that cuts for you. So on the fine point blade, you have a 45-degree angle blade on here. However, with the deep point blade, you have a 60-degree angle blade. So that's the only difference. So this one is, again, the fine point blade. It's what you use for the majority of your projects. 45-degree angle blade. Deep point blade is a 60-degree angle blade. Now, this one cuts different things than the fine point blade. Because of that 60-degree angle, it can cut a little bit deeper, so it can cut a little bit of a thicker material. Things like craft foam. This is the one we recommend for cutting aluminum foil. This one can cut some of the thinner genuine leathers, so this one isn't ideal for the thicker tooling leathers, but this can cut some of the thinner genuine leathers. Metallic leathers, magnetic sheets, corrugated paper, things like that, it cuts really, really well, cuts like butter. So that's what you would need this for if you would like to cut any of those thicker type materials. But again, the only difference is the angle, the degree of the blade, which is really good to know when you're out shopping for these to see if you might need it or not. Next up is the fabric bonded blade. Now this is a kind of rose gold pink color. It is color coded, of course. Our deep point blade is black and our fine point blade is silver, but the housings, the design is identical. The only thing that's different is, of course, the color. So we do have, again, black for the deep point, silver for the fine point, and this is for the fabric bonded blade. Now this blade is used for, just as the name suggests, fabric that is bonded. Now, because this is not the actual one that you would use for usual fabric, you would use the Rotary Blade, but the Rotary Blade is specific to the Cricut Maker line of machines. So if you have a Cricut Explorer Air 2 or a Cricut Explorer 3, you could use this fabric bonded blade and cut fabric with it. Now the only catch is that it does have to be bonded to something, the fabric does. So whether that be heat and bond, you can use freezer paper, things like that, but you have to have it bonded to something in order to use this. Also, make sure that you're only using these blades with the intended materials. So you don't want to use the fabric bonded blade to cut things like paper or iron on and things like that. You want to use it for its intended use, which is for silk, polyester, light denim, felt, burlap, cotton. Again, lighter materials. You can't do anything super heavy, super thick with any of these fine point type housings and blades, but again, depending on what machine you have, you can only select certain materials in design space. So for instance, if you have your Explorer Air 2 or you have an Explorer 3, you cannot choose to cut tooling leather with the deep point blade or something like that. It knows that your machine doesn't have the capability, so design space will not give you the option to choose that as a material setting. So that's super smart though. So when you do have a Cricut, of course, design space then knows you do have that capability and it will allow you to choose those material settings. So Cricut's very smart about that. It will not steer you down the wrong path. If you know what material you're using and you want to use, it will tell you what material settings you have to choose from the tools allotted to use in your machine, which is super helpful. So again, this can cut really light fabrics that are bonded to heat and bond or freezer paper, something like that. The most common one we use is a thinner cotton. That's what we use for this mostly. So yeah, that is the fabric bonded blade. Next we have the foil transfer kit. And I do apologize, guys. I cannot find the tips for this. I can't find them. They're here somewhere though, I do apologize, but it comes with 3 tips, which is fine, medium, and bold. And what this does is it uses a pressure activated foil on paper projects and some leather projects. And this little guy right here will press into that gold, that foil, and allow it to be on the design to be on your product, on your leather, on your paper. It's super fun. It's a really neat little gadget here if you are in the market for something that you can use foiling with. This is a pretty neat one. Again, the kit does come with 3 different tips, the fine, medium, and bold tip. Some of the materials you can use with the foil transfer kit is cardstock, some deluxe papers. You can use this on some different types of papers like pearl paper and things like that. Vellum, you can use it with printable vinyl, sticker paper, mat board, poster board, copy paper, photo paper, and then faux leather you can use this on as well. It's, again, super fun if you're in the market for something like this. It's a really fun blade to have. So now that we've talked a little bit about the foil transfer kit, let's recap. We've also talked about our fine point blade, our deep cut blade, and our fabric bonded blade. Now these are all tools and blades that can be used in all of the Cricut machines except for the Joy. None of these can be used in the Joy. The Joy does have a foil transfer kit. However, it's different. You have to get it at a different size, the one specifically made for the Joy. You cannot interchange any of the blades and tools in the Cricut machines for the Cricut Joy. All of these are to be used with the Explorer Air 2 and above. So yeah, but these are all compatible with all the Cricut machines as well as the scoring stylus. And now riddle me this, guys. In the 13 total tools and blades you can use, the scoring stylus is included in that. It is one of the 13. So that's funny to me. But so all of these here, the foil transfer kit, fine point blade, deep cut blade, fabric bonded blade, and scoring stylus are all interchangeable in any of the Cricut machines aside from the Joy. So these are all the ones that you can use in your machines. Now we're going to move on to ones that are just used in the Cricut Maker and Maker 3. Now the first adaptive tool we're going to be talking about today is the Rotary Blade. Now I say adaptive tool because this tool, as well as the rest I'm going to mention in this video, are only compatible with the Cricut Maker and the Cricut Maker 3 because they have the quote adaptive tool system. That is what holds these tools in the clamp. That is why they're only compatible with the Maker and the Maker 3. Now you might be wondering, this blade looks a little odd. How do you change the blade? You will have to get a kit and change the blade. It comes with a little bitty screwdriver, and you take these pieces off, add in your new blade, and pop it back in. It's actually a really easy process. We'll have some videos on how to change your blades in your machine, but you shouldn't have to change this for the first several months of use, depending on how you use it or how often you use it. Sometimes you can get away with more. But this is used to cut a wide variety of things. So bamboo fabric, canvas, it can cut chiffon, corduroy, cotton, denim, felts, different types of fleeces. It can cut silk, microfiber, nylon, all kinds of things. This is a really, really powerful blade. It can cut a lot of different materials, which is amazing. This is definitely one that we use a lot. At the end of the video, I'll share with you the ones that we use. But this is definitely one that we grab a lot. Becca loves to use felt. We like to cut fabric here. There's a lot of different uses for this fella here, so we definitely want to keep this one in our craft arsenal. If you're picking and choosing, we do love the Rotary Blade. The next blade we're going to be talking about is the Cricut knife blade. Now this is one of the ones that everyone was really excited about when it first came out. Unfortunately, it is a bit limiting, which is kind of sad. However, if you do not have the budget to buy a different type of woodworking machine, like a laser cutter that can make easy work of a lot more of a wide variety of materials, like a Glowforge, we love our Glowforge. This is a good option if you already have a Cricut Maker. The only thing is, again, it is really, really, really limiting. You can cut tooling leather, which is a thicker type of genuine leather, balsa wood and basswood, but it is very specific. The numbers are very specific on the widths that you can cut. So it can only be 11 inches wide. And then for thickness, it has to be pretty darn thin. It can't be very thick. Definitely check out Cricut's website for the very specific numbers. Now they are really specific, guys, I'm just telling you. So balsa and basswood, you can't just go out and buy it at the hardware store, at the craft store. You have to make sure that it will fit in your Cricut, because it has to go underneath that roller, which you're pretty limited by. It can cut heavy chipboard, which we buy the Cricut brand heavy chipboard. It's 2 millimeters, and some mat boards and things like that. But again, that's about it. You're pretty limited. We don't love using this tool. We don't use it a ton, especially now that we do have our Glowforge. But yeah, again, it's a good tool to have in your arsenal if you think you might want to use wood and work with some of the thinner woods. It's pretty nice. So definitely do your research, look up some videos about it. The only thing I will say for balsa and basswood, which is the only type of genuine wood you can cut with this, it cuts very thin if your design is thin, and it will snap very easily. That is one thing I do have to say. It cuts for a very long time, and you want to make sure that your computer's not going to sleep or that your Bluetooth connection will not fail you in the middle of a design, because nothing is worse than having a craft fail because of that. So that's the knife blade. Again, only exclusive to the Maker and the Maker 3 machines. Now we're going to talk about the quick swap housing. This right here is the quick swap housing. It has this little gadget here on the bottom and a little bitty button up here at the top that you press. And it is interchangeable with all of these different tips and blades, which is amazing. So here is all of these tips and blades. We have the single and the double scoring wheel. Now this would replace your scoring stylus. However, these are interchangeable. You can use them with different things. Again, this is a scoring stylus which drags. It will drag on your project to score things. But the scoring wheel will roll on your project to score things, so it can be better for some more delicate materials and things like that. To put one of these in here, all you do is press that little button on the top, pop this on, and then release that button, and it's good and secure on that housing. And you do the same thing again, pop it on by pressing that button, then you can press the button again and pop it right off. That is how you place your attachments on here. So those are the double and single scoring wheels. Now I will let you know, if you are using the double or single scoring wheel with your Maker or Maker 3, Cricut Design Space will tell you which you need to use depending on the material that you choose. So you don't have to have any guesswork on if you need to use the double or the single scoring wheel. It will let you know. Next, we're going to talk about the Perforation Blade. So this is what will give paper projects and things like that a finish that you can tear. So it is what it sounds. If you want to make a coupon book or something like that, this little blade is what you're going to need. It looks like a rotary blade, but with little slits cut out of it. So you can use this with corrugated cardboard, some poster board, some glitter cardstocks, vellum, acetate, iron-on, craft foam, some different types of felts, things like that. So there's a lot you can do with these quick swap housing tools. But again, we don't really find a need things to be tearable or perforated, so we don't really use this a whole lot, but that is what that blade does. Next, we'll talk about the Wavy Blade. So the Wavy Blade, again, much like the Perforation Blade and the Rotary Blade, it looks like the Rotary Blade, but it is kind of finished like this. So it will give your finished project on the edges a wavy look to them. And same as the Perforation Blade, you can use this on heavy cardstock. You can actually use this on certain types of fabric, so like flannel or cotton denim, different things like poster board and craft board, things like that. So you can use this on a wide variety of materials, which is really nice. So again, this is another blade you can use for lots of things. However, we don't really use it, just to let you guys know, being transparent, but I do want to let you know what it does and how you can use it and what materials you can use it on. Next up, we'll talk about the engraving tip here. So the engraving tip is what it sounds like. It's a long, pointy metal tip, and this can be used to engrave on a wide variety of surfaces. Iodized aluminum, you can use brass or bronze or stainless steel. You can even engrave on faux leather, genuine leather, tooling leather, different types of paper like vellum, acetate, foil, regular acetate, things like that. So it's a really neat tip. This is actually one that is a bit fascinating to use. We have used this one before. I have used this one much more than I've used the Wavy Blade or the Perforation Blade myself, but I do like this engraving tip. It's pretty good for a wide variety of different craft projects. Next is the Debossing Tip. And again, all of these pop into the housing the exact same way I showed you with these scoring wheels, but this one is like a half circle on this tip. That's all it is, and really all it does is push into your designs to give them a little bit more dimension. The list of materials for this is very, very long. Anything from chipboard to craft board to poster board, different types of papers, heavy cardstock, vellums, foil acetates. You can use this on different types of wood as well. So it's pretty versatile in the materials you can use with it. We just have a hard time figuring out what to use this for. Now again, you guys are super creative, super imaginative. I'm sure you guys can find things to use this for. Your wheels might be turning already and thinking of things you can use this with. And if so, I hope that you guys did learn a lot from this video to know what blades and tools you might need. Okay, here are the blades and tools we use the most. These are the ones we use. They're tried and true. We really don't use that many other than this. This is the quick swap housing. We have the double and single scoring wheels and the engraving tip. We have our fine point blade, the knife blade, the rotary blade, and the scoring stylus. This is what we use most often. We went through all of them today, but here's the ones that we use. And there you have it. We have discussed all of the blades and tools in these Cricut machine models. We have not discussed much about the Cricut Joy today, other than pretty much none of the tools and blades you can interchange in that machine. We do not recommend the Cricut Joy as a first or primary machine for most people. So if you do have a Joy or you're looking for a Joy and you would like some training on that, let us know and we'll do some training specific on that Joy. But today we did focus on the Cricut Explorer Air 2 and the models above that as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you are a Cricut beginner, we would urge you and encourage you to check out the first link in the description below. We would love for you to join our flock here at Oak and Lamb and allow us to instill confidence in you as a crafter. Not only do we train on Cricut, but we have a wide variety of teachings from everything from Glowforge to sublimation to sewing to Cricut, home decor, woodworking, and more. It is our goal to make sure that you're confident in whatever area of crafting you are passionate about. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below and ring that bell to get notified when more amazing content like this comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you in the next training video.